Welcome to CVC Podcast. My name is Britton, and tonight we have a full panel once again. To my left, and not that it matters to you, but we have Jim.
How come when you talk, the green lights light up, but when I talk, it doesn't?
You know, you were talking a lot louder during the sound check.
1, 2. Oh, okay. Cool.
See?
Now I get some green lights.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah. Okay. Nick, how you doing, man?
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on from...
I see a green light. But it's kind of hard from over across the table.
I swear, everyone talks louder during the sound check.
Well, we get scared when we go
We
live.
do. We go live and then we get scared. we'll bring it up. Let's bring it back,
You
guys.
see, I go louder.
We're not radio dudes.
One hop this time.
One hop this time. See? So how's Ashley doing?
Spiffy.
Great.
Go team.
Guys, this week is... Say that again.
Go team.
Okay. So this week, guys...
Sounds like that. If you should get like one of those sound boards and then we just sound clip stupid crap that we say. And
Oh, yeah.
At a certain point, it's just play it.
Wow.
I was gonna say
Oh,
go
Yeah.
team.
trust me, I've thought about it. I've got
Yeah.
I know where the stuff is.
And then whenever we all
Yeah.
agree on, or if we ever agree on a topic, you can just play "Go Team."
Yeah.
Go team.
That's a good idea.
I don't think
I
we'll
like
ever
that
agree.
idea.
I don't think we'll ever agree on anything, and I really don't want to.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Well,
I don't.
We have. Thank you. High
No
five.
team.
No
High five.
team.
No
Guys,
team.
the people in Houston have been underwater. Is it receding yet? Like this is the Thursday. I mean, I don't know.
When did it
I think
start?
America lost interest yesterday.
When did it start? Was it
Like Saturday,
the
Sunday.
weekend?
Yeah.
Someone told me today it was coming back in, but I think that's already happened.
Yeah, it came
Like
back
it
in.
left the
Coming towards
coast. And
us.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be anyway. But let's talk about the big stuff in Houston. People are losing their homes, and
Was it like the biggest hurricane in decades?
Yeah.
it's the biggest rainfall in U.S. history.
Really?
Yeah,
Have you seen the picture of MSN where they did a side-by-side comparison of the size of Katrina and the size of Harvey? It's
No.
like a,
No.
It's like a satellite image. It's pretty impressive. It's in terms of size.
yeah.
I know they had to add colors on the rain chart because it was raining so hard. Like the
Wow.
National
Yeah.
Weather Service had to add colors on the
So,
rain.
so what's the highest color now? Like the highest
like a purple or a light
Ultraviolet.
purple?
ultraviolet.
Harvey Violet.
Harvey Violet.
Oh.
Well, people are just incredibly angered at Joel Olsteen, who may be the most hated Christian in Christianity, hated by both non-Christians and Christians alike. I think that's the case with him. So apparently he could do no right this weekend. And here's the thing here. So when something like this happens, like what ought a church to do?
Open their doors and help people.
That depends
At
if people
least
get
your
to the church.
congregation. Like, your congregation is supposed to be your family, the
Right.
Christian family. You would think that they would, come together to help each other, but their doors were closed.
Well, here's the narrative that the media gave us, and that I think is a lie. I don't think there was never anything along the lines of someone came up to the door and started beating, and they're like, "No, we're closed," which is what they would have us to believe.
Right,
It never
yeah.
happened. It's not a thing. So, but from what I understand, is Joel Olsteen, the church, like the pastoral staff, they already had plans in place of how to help people. Opening their doors, like making it a big place with beds and everything else, wasn't necessarily one of their plans because of the history of that building flooding. And apparently there was a little bit. It's the equivalent of a church basement. It's not like their stage was underwater or anything like that, but there was some stuff that was underwater.
I saw somebody else say that was a parking garage nearby.
Well, I mean, I've seen this church, and like the parking garage. I mean, it's what's Coliseum parking garage that you would usually see. Beside, so yeah, that could be flooded. But there, I saw some other pictures where they had ripped out some drywall and all that, and that was like so. That's a
Weren't
little
there
bit
also issues like when Katrina happened? When was Katrina? When did
2005.
Okay, so weren't there issues then of like when they let him into the wherever
Stadium.
the stadium that there were a lot of issues with like that whole situation
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
was
security,
Yeah.
victimization.
yeah. So I'm sure. It's not like, I mean, I know they have a big staff, but they're not necessarily staffed for that.
For
so
flood crisis.
right. So what you would have to do is have either the city come in and do that, and there was no plans with the city apparently. So like,
Right.
so I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, I don't give a hang whether Joel, did or didn't do anything or whatever, but I'm just interested in this whole media narrative thing. But that now they think that they can shame someone, because I saw them start saying these are the people who said shaming isn't the answer. Like a couple years back, now it's like, hey, we shamed him. Shaming works.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like that's not cool.
I think I learned a lesson about media because the initial story was, mean old Joel shut his doors and didn't let anybody in.
Right.
And I said, yeah, that's terrible. What a terrible person.
Were
What a
you
jerk.
reactionary?
Yeah, exactly. And then the story came out that, well, it's not exactly like that. And then this came out, this other thing that said, well, the basement was flooded. And then something came out and said, well, the basement wasn't really that flooded. And then something came out and said, well, Joel always had a plan to help him. And then something came out and said, well, people were actually coming in. It's like I hate to sound like Trump, but there's so much fake news.
Yeah.
That you literally,
Yeah.
you have to withhold your judgment. And, even as a Christian, that's kind of a good thing to withhold your judgment and say, look, I'm not in Houston. I'm definitely not at Joel Olsteen's church.
Yeah.
I don't know a thing about the situation. So who am I to call the guy anything or weigh in on the subject? But Nick's right, and I didn't even think about
was?
that.
What did I do?
Good job.
So
I
half
did
of the
something.
panels in agreement. But I got to thinking, and I have a lot of my own ideas about church and what church should be and what church should do with the community and all that. But as it stands, as churches are now,
Yeah.
they're tax exempt, liable properties, this and that. If you let all kinds of people in there, you're opening yourself up to lawsuits.
Yes.
The closure of the church. I mean, there's a lot of legalities to consider.
Right.
As a church, you probably shouldn't consider those things before people. But let's face it, that's the position the church is in.
But you don't have a church if you don't do that.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if you want to look at overhauling the church and why we ask those questions and have those priorities, that's a good conversation. But until then, I think those are valid reasons because what happened in that stadium at Katrina was disastrous.
Well, I think
It was pretty bad.
This whole thing is case in point of
Was
one
that
group
what
of
I was right
people
on? Okay.
making.
Yeah, okay.
Do what? What'd you say?
It's like, was that what I was right on? Okay.
This whole thing is people making. They define how they think things should be and expect you to abide by their thing they just made up. That's what we're dealing with these days. And so someone said, "Hey, how come they didn't do it? Did anyone want to? Was there? Because I never saw pictures or a story of anyone banging on the doors and saying, "Hey, like they turned away 1,000 people." Never happened. So nothing like
think
that
it
ever
was-
happened. But they just said, they painted it like that. Then they said, "How could he not do that? Like this, some sort of moral outrage?" Because it all goes back to they hate him because he's rich.
well, yeah, and they hate him, so no matter what he does, it's going to be bad. So,
Right.
okay,
He was very much in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation because
Yeah.
it's that situation where they say, "Hey, it's flooding. How come you're not opening your doors?" And then he goes, "Okay, we'll open the doors." They go, "Why did you wait so long?"
yeah,
Yeah.
It's like,
and then
well,
somebody gets hurt, or,
how about
or
no?
people get robbed, or
Yeah.
people get assaulted, and then they say, "Well, why didn't you have security on board?"
Right.
And then if he has security on board, they're like, "Why are you policing your church?" It's just if the public has an opinion of you, you're pretty much just
Yeah.
done for.
And while I do think that they probably should have opened their doors or done something more from the get-go instead of
Well,
I honestly
being
still have
reactionary,
no idea what they did.
there is
I don't know what's
still-
going on.
they
down
opened
there.
the doors yesterday.
Yeah, it took them.
Okay,
But they worked
But
through, I
the
know.
city only opened it the day before. They were expecting Joel Olsteen to have their doors open before the city had theirs open in their coliseums. Where's that fair?
And nobody's yelling at the city
No one's yelling at the
because
city.
nobody hates the city like they hate Joel Olsteen.
Right.
But my point that I was trying to get out
Yeah.
was that I mean these people were also Houstonians, so they were probably all their church
Yeah.
members and other people were also experiencing that
Oh, yeah.
and needing that help instead as opposed to just
I'm
being
thinking
like
they
let
might
me-
have had a network or something like the church.
Yeah.
Keeping up with each other and stuff.
They
and I
should
don't know.
have.
I have
I
no
don't know.
idea.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, it's all
I mean,
whatever.
don't they run something like 40,000 a week? I mean,
They say that, but that Coliseum only holds 16 to 17,000.
But they have
Fire hazards.
Multiple services, is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
Here's what I think is funny is their first effort was to go help the people in Corpus Christi, which is what hit first. here's what I said. I texted you all that night as it was happening. And maybe we need to quote this in a meme since it's popular for people to do in Christianity now. We'll get to that later. But where was I going with that?
Memes.
No, you were saying something about this is what they
He knows my
Sees
main.
the
Maybe
memes
they
of
should
production.
do
Corpus Christi.
So this whole Hurricane Harvey is God's judgment on Corpus Christi
Oh,
because of John Hagee, and on Houston because of Joel Olsteen. God's mad at
That's
them or
terrible.
something. Well, you saw. I don't know if you saw this. There was a professor who got fired this week
I
because
did,
he
I
said,
saw
"Well, this is what Texas gets for
They
voting
deserve
for
it.
Donald Trump."
Yeah,
You're
I
like-
saw that.
I was like, really? They fired him. Like, he deleted his tweet, but they fired him. I was like, I'm okay with them firing for that. That's because it's not what we need out of that. And those are the people, once again, I don't know, Republican, Democrat, left or right, people will always justify the stupid things they say because they hate somebody. And wow, that got
Typically on in these situations, I never know enough information when it all happens.
oh,
'cause
that's not what
there's-
this is about.
No, I know. But going back to the whole misinformation thing, it's
Yeah.
like I never know enough information. I can't trust anybody to be like, hey, here's what we do know about this thing as it's happening. It's like, I'm just going to give it like 3 or 4 days and we'll see what kind of like
Or what
settles at the
happens.
top. Yeah.
Because that's
So
what.
that's the whole situation. It was like, I don't know enough about what's going on, so I'm just going to wait.
Yeah, that's kind of what you have to do. And people are gonna. Everyone thinks you're a rock star with a Twitter account. So what do you
Yeah.
do? Well, I'll tell you who is a rock star, and that is the lead singer from the band Emery,
Yeah.
who wrote a worship song.
He did.
Nick, you've got to tell us about this
Let me get the article.
because this
He,
is awesome.
I haven't listened to Emery. Has anybody ever listened to Emery?
Yeah, you still listen to him a little bit.
They're like what, like a hardcore band or something?
Emery.
I wanna
Never
say
heard
it's-
of her.
I mean, wow, just wow.
There's a
Okay.
reason we don't do a live stream.
Yeah, I can't edit those out.
Yeah.
Here's the article. Emery frontman releases quote worship song and outsells actual worship artist. Now, this was the 24th, so I don't know what the sales figures are right now, but it says they basically gave him like a 30-minute time limit and told him to write a song in the style of like Hillsong, Bethel music, and
Yeah.
that, and he did it.
So he sat around for 29 minutes and
Yeah.
wrote a song. It's better than worship
And
music.
it's called Forever Rain, but it's like rain RAIN as opposed to the other song Forever Rain, which is EIGN.
Yeah.
I think I can spell right.
That's right, yeah.
And it says here that he put it up and it was on iTunes. And it's been climbing the iTunes Christian and Gospel charts. As of this article, it was sitting at number 35, and it's past acts such as Hillsong United, Mercy Me, Chris Tomlin, Elevation Worship, and many
How
more.
many people do you think
Wow.
don't get the joke? Like,
Oh, it's straight satire.
I'm going.
like how many people do you think don't know
It's
it's,
straight-
satire?
Like who
Yeah.
bought it? I think
His name
95%.
is Toby Morrell, Morrell, and I think he has a podcast called the Bad Christian
yeah,
Podcast.
yeah.
So yeah, it's called Forever Rain. He has a music video for it, and it's literally every time he does good deeds, it literally rains on somebody.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
one of the later ones is he goes in and he helps somebody with their car, and the dude opens up the hood of the car and just water just starts spraying out of the engine on the guy's face. It's just dumb. It's so dumb, but it's
good pointed commentary on how
Yeah,
bad worship
it is,
music
yep.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're what that's. What did you say, Toby Morrell?
Toby Morrell. Yeah.
Toby Morrell is going to have a new career as a Christian Weird Al,
Yeah.
but no one's going
Well,
to know
it's,
it.
it's interesting that, because satire music, that's not the first time I've heard satire bands get like Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spinal Tap's
yeah.
huge. Death Clock is a satire death metal band that literally is the best-selling death metal band of all time, and they're cartoon characters on,
Love it.
on Adult Swim.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
I'm learning things this evening.
Yeah.
so it's pretty good. I'm pretty excited about that.
I love it, man. I love it when anyone wants to challenge the status quo of Christian music,
Or anything.
or
For that
anything.
matter.
I just want to push everything forward, but I don't call myself a progressive at all. I'm complicated.
Well, you knew it was bad when was it Chris Tomlin that won like a Dove Award for Good Father?
Yeah.
And then you go and look at Good Father and you go, this is not a good song.
No.
This is a terrible song.
I don't know anything about
It
that
was
song.
The song
so
is-
popular, and I couldn't stand it.
What's great about that song is that you can kind of do an
Yeah.
Irish jig to it, and this you just kind of imagine yourself at a pub going back and forth
Well,
with your
if
buddies.
you were
with
at
your-
a pub,
Yeah.
and you were drinking, it would become a good song.
right?
But there'd already be better Irish
So is-
songs.
Yeah.
playing.
So if you drink as Christian music like Ugly Women,
It just gets better and better as you drink.
right?
Yes.
I've got nothing. I don't know.
I'm getting kind of a death stare by the only lady in this podcast.
And then you wake up the next morning going, what have I done?
That would be so abusive, though, because you would feel so guilty.
You wake up and you see a bunch of like Chris
got
Chris
Chris
Tomlin
Tomlin
CDs
sitting
laying
in your
around.
bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, third
So-
day.
yeah.
You know. Like, oh my goodness.
Man, last night was weird.
Listen, I'm gonna go to work. You can make some breakfast if you want. Just make sure you lock the door when you leave, please.
Right? Yeah. What do you do, guys? There was a pastor this week. Not this week. It was last week. But there was this pastor.
Good old Pastor McFeely.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna have to call him because I don't remember his name. But we're not necessarily a news gathering service as much as we're a news commentary program. This pastor was accused of sexual assault. It says he may have accidentally slipped his hands into a woman's pants
His
while
name
anointing
is-
her with oil.
His name is Mitch Olson.
Oh God. Okay.
Senior pastor at Grace Ministry Center in Michigan.
Former senior pastor.
Former senior pastor.
And it wasn't an accident.
No.
No.
If
No,
you
there's-
read the article,
Oh
he
no!
asks.
He.
Oh,
he,
and
Yes,
yeah.
he says yes.
He accidentally got consent.
Oh, he didn't accidentally get consent. He purposefully got consent.
Right.
That was some planned stuff. But
Yeah. So to explain this, okay. So here's the deal with this dude. This woman, I guess, has some sort of like sexual addiction or thinks she does. She might just be a normal person
something like
who
that.
feels guilty about the church.
yeah.
Anyway, she
a-
wants prayer from the pastor.
Yeah, she's like this
to
young
help her
20-year-old
with
girl.
this
something
lust.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, so he says,
I think I've
well,
seen this movie.
I'm going
Lifetime.
to anoint you with oil, which okay, here's
KY oil.
yeah, it must have been because
That tingling oil, right?
here's the
Warming
first and I don't want to make light of what this poor woman went through.
It makes you feel like you're going to hell.
I don't want to make light. Me and Nick are making lube jokes.
It hurts because of the flames of hell.
I just want to say that all of this, all of us making fun and the anger that's going to happen, probably through jokes or angry jokes, we're going to call it that,
We're getting our anger out.
is directed toward this jerk wagon who decided to physically assault this girl with apparent consent because someone in power does something stupid. So here's what he did. First of all, first thing he did wrong is he went over to the girl's house alone
At night.
Oh yeah.
at night.
That was bad.
Like-
That's a bad choice.
Like me and Ashley are good friends. I don't really go out with Ashley alone.
So see at 8 at the house alone.
Yeah. So he goes alone and he's got his little anointing oil, which smells terrific if you
Oh,
have
I
it.
love anointing
It's
oil
like I use it as
smell.
cologne. And so he's like, can I anoint you? Which is like some weird, like, sup girl with like some pastorally intent. So can I anoint your forehead? Can I touch your shoulders? Can I anoint your breast? Which should have been, wow.
No.
Can I
Should have been no.
can I touch your? So he pretty much asks if he can touch every part of this body and put oil on her, and yeah.
To break off whatever spiritual whatever
Yeah.
junk that
Let's stimulate her genitals.
yeah, pretty much.
was she naked? It doesn't say if she was
No,
naked or
No.
not.
he
No.
reached into her clothes.
But is so the
It's okay.
situation
Oh,
is
it's down her pants, right?
is
right.
it
Yeah.
is it being classified as assault?
I think they're having to test it. They're gonna have to test this in court because
She said yes.
she
Yeah,
said
but there's-
yes all the way
but there's
down.
a
But
coercion thing
that-
because he's
Yeah.
a trusted
Right, he's
figure.
misusing
He's
his
power.
authority.
Yes,
you know.
exactly.
and if you can prove he was trying to get his jollies, then yeah,
Well, it's
that's
the same
a problem.
thing as like those culty weird Buddhist, Hindu type yogis, who move out west and buy Rolls Royces and then like sleep with tons of women as part of their path to enlightenment. That's kind of the same thing. You're abusing your supposed spiritual authority.
Right.
And if he's done it to this girl, how many other people has he done it to?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I think that's why she finally came out. Like, she didn't, for whatever reason, she says she didn't know that it was wrong until she talked to her mom later. And was like, oh, wait, that wasn't normal.
Her mom was like, that's not normal.
And it's not cool.
Which that just goes to show you how it's a shame how much spiritual deceit you can pull over people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's just...
And Lord knows he's tried. I don't know.
I think everybody here knows I'm a failure at spiritual anything, much less spiritual deceit.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What were you saying before I so rudely interrupted?
I don't know. It's over.
It's over.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. No.
Ladies first.
I feel like we're slap happy tonight. Yeah.
I don't know. I read the article and it kind of messed with me. Just to, I mean, and people do things like that. It's church history that things like that happen often, but
look at the
I don't
Catholic
know.
Church.
Exactly.
But the sad thing is if this guy is not, does not face any criminal charges, he'll be booted from his church. That's probably already happened.
No, it hadn't, according to the article.
Okay, but so given the fact that he will be booted from his church,
we hope.
if he is,
We hope.
Yeah,
he will
hopefully.
spin it around and keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like every preacher that's ever been caught in fraud or hypocrisy. They keep going.
Well, and he's not even the one that said that his hand slipped. It was
Someone defending him?
Somebody else who was, I don't remember if it was like an assistant pastor or whatever, who was defending him, saying, "Oh, his hand slipped." And like, you weren't even there. Were you there? Because that changes everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it even more weird.
That makes it worse.
Yeah. Well, next thing we'll have someone with a camera there, like, watch us pray for this poor girl. I don't know. It makes me sick, and I think there's
Honestly, when I first read the article, I thought it was satire.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, is this for real?
I mean, when you see something ridiculous, you have to look down and say, is this Babylon B?
How stupid of a defense is that? I mean, really.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's the point where, like, closer to the end of the article, it talks about how the police are like, well, he's a good guy, and he helps the community, and he's very upstanding, and we're just not sure these charges are going to stick because we're not sure. I'm like,
Because they're coated in oil.
You can be a bridge builder your whole life.
He's a wily one.
You can be a bridge builder your whole life, but if you rape one person, you're not a bridge builder. You're a rapist.
yeah.
For your entire life.
Yeah.
Bridge
So,
builder.
man, okay, so let's get something a little lighter. A few weeks ago, we started this thing called Do They Still Do That? And we talked about purity rings. And I think we might have came up with this idea that maybe nobody still does that, but maybe some do.
They do. I wasn't.
Do they?
I wasn't here for that, but yeah,
Oh.
I've got family. They do that.
And okay, I don't know. But anyway, this week, flannel boards.
You're going to have to, I don't know what this is.
He doesn't know what a flannel board
Did you
is.
grow up with flannel boards?
I never
Oh
grew up
yeah,
with
that's how I know the Bible so
I
well.
might have I don't know. I have. Let me Google it.
Well, I got to start. Okay, so flannel board's kind of like Velcro-y almost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got this board.
Depends on some sort of static
Yeah,
electricity.
yeah,
Race
and
board.
there's like cutouts of, say, Jesus and Mary and Joseph,
Saint
and,
Peter.
all kinds, just cutouts.
Some
And
animals.
you slap them on the flannel board, and they stick while you're telling your story. And you're using these little things. So I figure probably DVD has, and TV has really overtaken that industry.
Puppets.
Yeah. Oh, puppets are still. That'll be next week's segment.
Well, here's the thing that I did. I went and looked it up to see.
If you
I'm
can
like, if
find
you can
one?
get these, apparently preschools are using them like crazy.
Wow.
So it's one of those things that what's old becomes new again. So
my first memory with flannel board, I grew up in a Nazarene church, and we had Sunday school, and they would use flannel board, and that's the first time I remember consciously. That's the first memory I have of learning about hell. And it scared me to death.
how did they illustrate hell? on
We
a
had this
flannel board?
teacher, and he was telling us about the war in heaven and Lucifer's rebellion. And Lucifer was this angel in white robes with wings, and he had dark hair, and all this, and they were talking about how God cast him out, and then anybody who doesn't get saved, and mind you, I'm not even
Someone read a lot of Milton.
yeah, right. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. But like I'm probably not even 5 yet.
Right.
And I'm hearing it. If you don't get saved, you're going to burn in fire for eternity. And it was so bad, my mom actually had to talk with the pastor about how scary the Sunday school teacher was. And a lot of people had a problem with that guy. He doesn't even go there anymore because a lot of people had the same issue.
There's always one Sunday school teacher who wants to scare the hell out of you.
Right, yeah. Or scare the hell into you.
Or something.
But yeah, that was the first time I learned about hell. First time I got devilishly scared, and that is why I don't like flannel board.
Oh, you hate flannel boards?
No, I don't have a good memory of flannel boards.
Oh man, like they're like just nice for me. I'd love to have one. Like I would love, because we'll render this out to like a video podcast. I would love to just have a flannel board and just put up what we're talking about. I think that would be maybe we can redeem the flannel board for
let's
you.
do it. Let's
Do we
give it a shot.
do we have a flannel board cut out of some KY? Stuff up there?
What are you gonna? So did you look that up? Did you see what it was? No?
Yeah, it's really.
Yeah.
I don't remember this as a thing, but I mean, it looks interesting.
What denominational stream did you come from?
Church of God.
Anderson or Cleveland?
Anderson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you?
Oh yeah,
have-
we totally. I think
What stream were you growing up?
we hopped around a lot, but I think my earliest memories were
church hopper
Baptist sort of
was
thing.
the-
I've
Okay,
always
so
been a church hopper.
Something about Church of God Anderson. And
It could
flannel
have just been
board.
that church. Maybe they couldn't afford it. Maybe they had gone away from it
I
by the
went to
time you got
church
here.
that you go to.
Well, that doesn't mean anything. Because back then,
Man, so yeah, that's what I don't
a whole
know.
nother
I still want one. I want a flannel board
We'll
for
get one.
a CVC
We'll do it.
podcast flannel board, and they're only $12.
Hey, there you go.
That's for a love
That's
operating.
our budget for the year, but okay.
That's right.
The whole podcast. It just kind of looks like a fuzzy chalkboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it
That's a
is.
good description.
Okay.
Guys, the
And then
one
things stick to it.
Okay.
Sometimes
okay
they
with
fall
that.
down.
the one thing we've got to talk
scary.
about tonight is the Nashville statement, to which everybody in Nashville was saying, I wish they would have called it something else. Okay, does anyone want to attempt to describe the
Why
Nashville
is it
statement?
called? Was it conceived in Nashville? Is that why they call it the
Probably.
Nashville?
Just like
Because-
every other horrible Christian industry thing, yeah, it was conceived in
Probably.
Nashville.
Probably
Oh,
the
okay.
original signers were
They
all
probably did
Nashville.
it in a recording studio
let's,
too.
Let's go ahead and take a look at what's in Nashville. Lifeway is there, Christian education stuff. You've got the whole entire Christian music industry, unless you count Tooth and Nail out there in Seattle. And then you've got just so much other junk. So that's all coming out of Nashville. So I'm sure the people in Nashville hate this. But anyway, yeah, dude. Does anyone want to take a crack? I can talk about it, but
I have the articles up, but
yeah.
I don't know if we want to read them all.
Nah, I don't
So
want.
That
No,
might be too long.
Recap, I read it once.
Yeah.
And I forget what the preamble is about, but it's pretty long.
It's longer than the
Yeah.
articles put together. I
Right.
think.
I know that the
Yeah.
articles are like, we affirm traditional marriage between man and
Yeah.
woman. We think
Traditional gender roles.
You're right. No
Yeah. Right,
transgender. Even though you may self-identify as something other than what you are biologically, you're still what you are biologically, and you should be celibate. And they cite scripture for that, where Jesus says some men are eunuchs by birth.
Yeah.
That Jesus can still save you if you're like that, but that you can't engage in that openly or affirm it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it is basically just
So if you're friendly at all, to any LGBTQ community, did I get the letters right?
No, because they keep adding.
Well,
them.
no, I just mean,
say
I
plus,
usually get
just
them-
say plus at the end, and you'll get them all.
I usually just get the first 5 letters
yeah.
out of order. Anyway, I'm trying to be respectful to this group of people. I don't have anything against them.
I would just for the sake of all inclusivity, if we want to
Yeah.
go that, just say LGBTQ plus.
Okay.
Everything
Yeah.
else, because it does
LGBTQ
change
plus.
quite often.
Okay. So anyway, the LGBTQ plus, yay.
Yeah.
I want to be respectful to them. I don't have any hatred for anybody in that group, and I feel like these articles do. I feel like it's a big line in the sand that's being drawn, that because it even said, in Article 10 there, which is the
got
big
that
one.
pulled
Yeah,
up.
pull it up and read that.
Do you want both the affirm and the affirmation?
Yeah, give me the
Okay.
affirmation and
So,
the denial.
Article 10 says, "We affirm that it is sinful to approve of homosexual immorality or transgenderism, and that such approval constitutes an essential departure from Christian faithfulness and witness. We deny that the approval of homosexual immorality or transgenderism is a matter of moral indifference about which otherwise faithful Christians should agree to disagree."
Awesome.
So basically, if I want to show a little bit of grace to these people,
Yep.
I'm out. And here's what bothers me: they all think they can get together and sign a stupid document and say, "Hey, if you disagree with that, then you're not one of us." To which I say, you don't own the church.
They're claiming that just disagreeing with them in and of itself is a sin.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it used to be.
But John Piper's big name is on that, so of course it says that.
Right.
So Pipes
It's real
is
collectivist. I'm not a big fan of that.
Before the division in 1054, where you ended up with the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church, whatever the Catholic Church said like that, it wasn't just a sin; it was something you could be killed for.
Right.
And then you get the Orthodox Church. So this is authoritarian Christianity, ironically, within evangelicalism,
Right.
because we don't have creeds.
Right.
We don't have affirmations like this or statements like this because
Unless it's within a denomination, but this is not
or
denominational.
within a local church. Like if you want
Yeah.
as a local church to do something like that, that's cool. I get that.
Yeah.
They have statements of belief on every church website out there. But
Yeah. Right.
but this is interesting because number one, in one sense, I'm really excited about this because it puts it out in the open, and it says, okay, these people, for instance, John Piper, hugely respected author in the Christian world across all denominations.
right.
J.I. Packer, really smart theologian. He wrote a book, Knowing God, among a lot of other books. Really, I don't know if he's Calvinist, but he's definitely like the Reformation theology type. There's a lot of names on this where, they've taken their stand. Yeah, Dobson. This is This is just a very in-your-face stand, and it's pulling out the people from the shades of gray line where they just want to agree to disagree, and it's saying, look, we insist you make a statement. So it's going to force us to have this discussion a little more openly. And
it's going to go back to what we were talking about last week. They're going to force people to take a side.
Right.
And
I'm gonna just say
I don't like that.
No.
As soon as someone drives me to the corner, I'm like, well, I'm not on your team.
Well, here's what I think's funny about it is that the one thing that statement does not affirm, and it might claim to in many words, and a lot of them might disagree with me, but it doesn't. That statement goes past the crucifixion and saving work of Jesus.
Right.
To add,
it removes grace.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a whole lot of words that go past that.
Right.
And to me, that
was my
terrible.
problem with the whole thing is that, it's not like they said anything new. I mean, everything that they said, we're like, well, of course you believe that. We knew you believed that. We didn't. So to me, we didn't need this document for me to know what John Piper and James Dobson
It was to stir
needed
the
to
pot,
say.
or
It
to-
was to stir the pot.
Thing is, I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah.
This isn't like my field of anything. But
Yeah.
but we were talking about this earlier. As soon as I read Southern Baptist, so whatever, I went, of course it was.
Right.
I mean,
Honestly, it's a good show of false humility.
Yeah.
Of a bunch of guys getting together and a few women, but
Like
not
two.
much.
Not very many
getting
women at
together
all.
and going, we hate to do this, but we solemnly affirm this stuff. And it's
And we're
like,
doing
oh,
it for
you're
your-
eating it up. Right
We're doing
now.
it for your own good.
Yeah, you're
and
loving
I'm
this
sure it's like
attention
that.
and
But
this,
if they really cared about these people, they wouldn't go about it like this because it doesn't show grace as much as they use the word grace and forgiveness and all of that. And here's where they're perfectly within their rights to believe whatever they want. Like, I'm not disputing that. You can believe whatever you want. But if you're concerned about the transgendered kid that statistically has depression problems and is more likely to,
statistically 40 times higher suicide rate.
right.
Yeah.
What you don't need is an official document from a group of churches to say you're not good enough.
Yeah, and you need.
And that's what we're
you
getting.
need to be fixed. They even use the term disorder in that statement. I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
As in, you need to be fixed.
And then they deny what's already been stated by psychology.
Right.
Yeah, because
So-
they talk about psychological and gender dysphorism, and
Yeah.
like that's not psychologically acceptable in the in the psychological world at the moment.
What it is,
Wow.
it's what they're talking about is the erosion of what has traditionally been known as society.
Yeah.
You grow up, you're a man, you're a woman, you get married, and to them it's extremely scary to see this fall apart. But it's never been any different. We're just learning how to be okay with it.
Do they think by taking a stand like this that everyone's just going to go, oh, yeah, you're right, and then jump on their team? Or are they going to say, we're just going to stand firm as we go down with the ship?
I think they're
just-
standing
well,
firm as they go down with the ship.
I don't think
they care.
they don't think they're going down with the ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
think they're standing
being
on the
true
word
to
of
the
God.
gospel, and
Yeah.
and that they're going to be the few that are saved or whatever, and that they're doing this to please God and to tell the truth.
Yeah.
But they would rather society look like it's always looked, and
Right.
everything to be like Pleasantville.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's just keep
Good
things
analogy.
as they are. Let's not disrupt much. And if you're transgender or queer or gay, and I think queer is acceptable. I didn't mean that as a
Yeah, that's the cue.
I didn't. Whatever you are, suffer in silence or end up marry someone, have very unexciting sex that you hate, sire some kids, and then off yourself when you're 50 or 60 because life sucks.
Yeah.
We would rather you do that so we can have our nice society
Right.
than learn it for people to be with the discomfort and learn to
Yeah.
be who they are, and then have other people
And-
go through accepting
and
that.
I don't side with the progressive end of Christianity much, but on this one, I feel like I'm with them because they're saying this is a document of hate. Hate might be strong, but I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. But
Here's a question though: how many, not people, but like churches, do you think would actually accept this as a thing, and actually?
I think a lot of them will.
I think a lot of them.
I
will.
honestly think mine would.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
I don't
I think
think.
majority of them will.
I don't think our church would,
Right? No, I don't think.
but
ours
I
would.
think our denomination would.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
definitely.
So that's
Yeah,
And it
which means we
says-
might be breaking away from that denomination very soon.
right
then.
because, like I said, I don't care what Christians believe. Like your belief does not give you the right to hate an entire group of people or to make them feel lesser than or to think that they don't have the right to exist.
I don't think our
Like-
job is to police
No.
the world anyway. Like the Bible
Get out of my
and
bedroom.
our commandments
Exactly.
and those are for the church. Those are for the people who call themselves Christians. I mean, that's
Right.
what Scripture is for. And so to stand up and say anybody who disagrees with us is
Yeah.
going to hell.
right.
I mean, that's not new. We've always said any sinners are going to hell. We're just
Right.
now labeling this new group of
Yeah.
sinners.
I mean, and these
But we're
churches
policing
can
the
say
world.
you can't come in our church. I mean,
Yeah.
they can say that.
But we've
you-
all been on that end of
but you
the
can't.
spectrum.
Yeah, you just can't say that on. You can't say that people can't exist.
I've
and I feel
always
like
been
that's
of the
what they're getting
mindset
at.
that Christianity and the Bible is a very personal thing, and so, I should apply it to my own life, but not to other people's lives. That's not my job.
Yeah, that's exactly
so,
right.
I mean,
think.
so if the Bible says that homosexuality is a sin or whatever, it doesn't really apply to me because I'm not homosexual, but that wouldn't stop me from helping someone that is or having a conversation, not like trying to stop somebody from being gay. And that's
Right.
I'm not going to do that. There's no point in that. That's stupid. But like, if somebody is legitimately struggling with something like the dysphoria or, or whatever, why would I not offer them grace of some kind?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's about all I can really do for other people. I'm not going to, because I have my own speck in my own eye. I'm not going to,
Yeah.
there's no point in trying. I mean, I have to get that fixed, and Lord knows that ain't happening anytime
Yeah.
soon. So,
I'd soon invite all those people who
yeah,
who Pipes and Dobson are kicking out.
right.
I'd rather just say you can come to our church, and then you're welcome here. If you
Why not?
want to be here, then come on down.
I mean, the goal
Right.
is to follow Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
And if someone else wants to follow Jesus with me, what
Wash your
in the
hands
world?
first, but we'll go hand in hand.
Why,
Yeah.
why would I want to disfellowship with them?
Right.
Like, there's so many people that just don't care about the way of Jesus at all.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, if someone's interested and wants to follow Jesus and see, and as far as you can tell, they're sincere and all that, I don't see a reason for anyone to be disbarred from following Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like there's room at the table, and I feel like the scripture I read a couple of weeks ago where it says there's neither Jew nor Greek nor male nor female.
Right.
We're all part of the body of Christ.
Yeah.
Like,
They ignore
I
that
feel
male
like
and female
that,
part in that verse, don't
yeah,
they?
they do. This document does. I mean,
Yeah.
before I got married, we went to pre-marriage counseling, and then we went to that the conference that we discussed. I don't know if it's still on.
My
part
church
of
doesn't
this.
believe in premarital counseling.
But, well, I kind
Then she
of
turned
wished,
around and had a heretic perform the ceremony.
I kind of wished that we didn't have, not the counseling. The counseling itself was good, but we had to go to a conference, and it was the guy standing up saying, I've always been the breadwinner. You guys need to be the man of your house. And the women took us to a women's only section where they were like, you need to support your husband, and you need to sometimes be sexy for him. And it was just awful. And like,
Where's the
me-
awful part?
But was she sexy for you? That's the real question.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my husband now, fiance at the time, we were in separate rooms and texting, being like, "This is not like." The woman was
Yeah.
talking about how her husband had to work 3 and 4 jobs at a time while she stayed home, and I was like, dude, if we can't make ends meet, I'm going to work." Like,
Yeah.
that's not happening. And I feel like the times have changed,
We
but
can
they're
all bring,
wanting
we can all
that
bring a little
stuff
bread
here.
to the table.
Yeah.
What's wrong with bringing a little, sometimes cheese? But I mean, whatever.
Right, you got to do what you got to do
Yeah.
to survive, and that's what they want to ignore. They're totally ignoring the needs that family has that have nowadays, because you
can't live
gotta have
on
two
a single
incomes.
income.
Yeah,
You can't live in a role where it's just I'm the man and I'm the submissive woman, and like that's not society. That's not who we are.
and in that conference, the whole point, it seemed, well, at least half the point, at least as far as the females were concerned, was like, yeah, you got to get your sex stuff on, and like once again, Christianity is entirely too interested in what's going on in people's bedrooms.
Right.
Like, of course, married people should have sex. That's like 90% of the fun of marriage, but the rest of it's work.
The only time
No.
Jesus had anything to say about what
Wait for my wife
about
to
the
come around the
right
corner.
things you should think is when he was talking about himself.
Yeah,
But all the other times, it had more to do with how you're treating people.
yeah,
I mean, he had no like, hey, this is what you should think about this, and this is what you should think about this,
Yeah.
and get all these in a line, and you're good to go. I mean, the parables, everything points to
Right.
how are you living
yeah.
your life.
And then the other times that he did address how we think, he took the commandments to an extreme of, oh, you haven't murdered anybody. Well, have you hated anybody lately?
It's the heart of it. Yeah.
You haven't fornicated or committed adultery, but you've lusted after that person.
Yeah.
And again, this document completely negates that whole, maybe you are a homosexual and you struggle with that lust thing.
Right.
Well, you keep struggling with that lust thing.
Just as long as the church is comfortable, you keep your struggle on.
as long as you don't, commit any actions. But that's not what Jesus said.
Right.
Jesus said, if you've lusted after a woman, I guess that means either one.
Yeah.
Then you've sinned, and he was trying to call out that religious hypocrisy.
And yeah,
Come on.
just want to hear her preach.
In marriage
Come on.
counseling, did they teach your husband the old greasy hand slip?
Listen, Ashley, what you said was really good. And if women were permitted to preach, I think you'd make a great preacher.
There you go.
Oh
I
man,
guess I
And
should
you
be
really
silent.
should
Now-
be wearing a headscarf right now.
I'm gonna pick on
Can I
the.
borrow your hat?
I do want to pick on the other side for just a second. That I saw this today. Failure to condemn the Nashville statement could be taken as an endorsement. I don't.
I completely missed this.
I can't hang with that kind of logic.
Well, it's the same thing with Charlottesville. Are you with the Nazis or are you with
Right.
Antifa?
It's
Yeah.
the exact
It's the
same
same.
thing all over again. I'm like, listen, I don't like the Nashville statement. I don't feel like, who are we? But like, I don't need to. If I was going to get in front of the youth group on Sunday morning or the church or on this podcast, like, none of us need to get over here. Like, you know what? I just feel like I've got to say that I condemn this.
I think I would actually lose more respect for our pastor if just out of the blue one Sunday right before the thing, just so everybody knows, I condemn the Nashville document. It's like,
shut up.
now we go on with the regular programming. It's like, was that necessary?
Yeah, it's like, I think you just have to have honest conversations about it, because once again, it's not new news. Like, of course they felt this way.
It's literally people saying
They just had a
things that
clever
they've
website.
always said, but putting it on paper.
Yeah.
It's a PR stunt.
Well,
Right.
guys, there's one thing that's really bothering me, and I see this a lot more here recently, and it's preachers who say something I guess they deem as brilliant, or one of their sheeple think is brilliant, and they put some sort of inspirational image, and then they write down what their pastor said, and then they sign it from their pastor, and now we have preacher memes. And they're not funny. Like, memes are supposed to be funny, thought-provoking, maybe a little snarky. These are just like for the self-promotion of the pastor.
I think the biggest problem I have with that is when the pastors or leaders or shamans do that themselves. It's like you're coming off. You want to come off as humble and as a just a humble spiritual leader, but you think you're so important that you want to take a picture of yourself, put one of your quotes on it, attribute it to yourself, and put it out there for everybody to share.
Right.
That's just something sketchy
It's like
about that.
they saw those. Whenever somebody will post a quote and it'll be like blank 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 Abraham Lincoln. It'll say the quote, and then on the left it's like they've taken that as the idea and said that's gonna be me.
Yeah.
And then put their quote there.
like
And
you're
it's never as
memeing
good.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Is it
really
that, or do
weird.
they have social media people doing this within the congregation?
I don't know.
That's the thing.
Because
I'm
I know
sure
there
they
are.
do.
I know in
there
some
are big
instances,
But I'd
it's
say no.
them. In some instances,
Well,
it's
Yeah.
them, and that's
Yeah.
the sketchy part.
I can say I know 3 or 4 preachers personally who've done it. And I hope they don't listen to this. And
What
I
they
love
don't
those guys,
understand-
but it's not. If you think it's you, it's not you. Not just
Except that
you.
one.
Yeah.
Except that one.
That guy.
But the thing is we're all narcissistic to a point. I mean,
Yeah.
we're doing a podcast and we're promoting it, and we want people to listen
Yeah.
and enjoy it.
I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't like the sound of my own voice.
Right. So I mean, it's just one, one pot calling the other pot sketchy,
Right.
or the one pot calling the kettle sketchy. But
You just didn't want to say the color.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you
I
said.
think I read something about that in Left Behind once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
But,
Good callback.
ooh.
Yeah, that means you have to go watch last week's episode.
the
Or
super
listen to it.
fans will really enjoy all this, won't they? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. It's just one of those dumb things that it's probably not a big deal at all. It just irritates me personally.
It just goes to show how out of touch those pastors are, because that just goes to show they don't understand memes.
Yeah.
Meme culture, or culture, air quotes. We'll put air quotes around that.
Yeah.
Those are probably the same people that condemn Facebook.
Right.
And yet have one on the side where they can
Right.
use it.
It just gave me this idea, though, that maybe we should come up with some sort of template, like a CVC quote, where, I don't know, we just take random things that each of you say and just put them on there.
Yeah.
Stuff that doesn't sound the jokes, not the not the
tongue-in-cheek
thoughtful
stuff.
stuff.
Right.
What was
So we're
the-
creating our own memes?
I think we should. I think it must be a new tool in ministry, right?
But I can't put them on me. I have to put James quotes on.
No.
on
Like, you
Jim's
should take a
quotes
picture
on.
of yourself, like a very
No
thought-provoking, contemporary picture, and you should put, there were multi-races in Left Behind. We were like, what the heck is this supposed to mean? Like,
I want
were
one
people
with me
arguing
eating
about
cake.
that?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one that's really dark, and I'm going to say I'll just say I enjoy it. But back when the election was going on, one of the big memes is that people were taking pictures of Taylor Swift and putting Adolf Hitler quotes beside her.
Yes.
And they were calling her Taylor Swiftler.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was amazing.
That was a
I
good
somehow missed
time.
It was so.
Oh.
Well, here's that's what preachers don't understand about memes. Here's for
Yeah.
the 4chaners, by the way. They didn't pray to the altar of Kek.
Right.
And they did not do that, and they should have.
Keck
And-
won the
And if
election.
you want to see memes, you need to should have been paying attention during the election cycle because memes won the election.
Kekistan.
Kekistan. Oh my gosh, Kekistan. He's a fellow Kekistani. That flag is amazing, by the way. It's
Which shows up at a lot of free speech
it
rallies.
does. It's so funny.
But in a large part, memes did win the election.
They really did.
You're right.
Well, and,
Now we have one for president.
It's true.
that Skittles thing that was it Donald Trump Jr. put or whatever.
Oh my
I'm pretty sure that came from 4chan. I'm pretty sure that was a 4chan thing.
My goodness. Well, guys, let's call it quits for the week because we've been talking a long time.
Yeah.
I want to remind everyone we have, I don't know how you came across this podcast, but you can go to cvcpodcast.com and get all of our stuff here. You can also go to our YouTube channel, which will have all of our full-length episodes, as well as a new feature called CVC Bites, which is this thing where we've just cut the funny stuff out of the episodes or the conversations out of the episodes
And just play the boring parts.
and just play the boring parts.
Play the boring parts.
So you can, if you like little bite-sized 5 to 10 minute pieces of
Little
CVC
bite-sized morsels.
instead of 1 hour
Instead of
long
family-sized
shenanigans,
ones.
Sweaty balls.
you can go catch that on CVC Podcast also or CVC Bites on YouTube. And you can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. CVC Podcast are the handles there. So lots of ways to absorb our shenanigans. So
Remember, we hope to see more of you, and we hope to see you more.
Go team.
Oh gosh.